Today in the crypto space, we see the market deep in the green. Bitcoin right around 91,500, up approximately 5%. Ethereum at about 1,700, up approximately 8%. And the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are doing amazing. We got a lot of good altcoins to much higher levels. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and I want to focus on Bitcoin. Why? Because if Bitcoin continues showing strength, guys, we're moving to the upside. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what we got going on here for this market. We do see our first indications of a reversal here, given the fact that the market structure across the market has been looking pretty good. We do see that the market cap is, basically giving us some valid data suggesting that there is market participation. Market cap is rising. Right now, we're hitting about $3 trillion while the volume has been increasing, guys. This is a good sign for this market. Now, a lot of us are worried here, and including myself. I turned bullish a couple of weeks ago, looking into getting into that bullish stance, slow and steadily, looking for those confirmations, trying not to flip-flop because it's very hard to flip-flop bearish, bullish, and back and forth as we are ranging. But now it's time to start really thinking about what this impulse to the upside really means. And ultimately, guys, we're making a higher high. It's the beginning of a potential reversal of the trend. And we're going to talk about Bitcoin today. We're going to focus on Bitcoin. But before we do that, let's just scrape through the top 100 just to get a sense of what the market is looking like. Because you can see in the last 24 hours, the altcoins have been doing pretty good. Some of them are outperforming Bitcoin. This is an interesting concept because how does this reflect into the Bitcoin dominance? And we're going to talk about the Bitcoin dominance tonight at 8 p.m. EST, guys. Feel free to join, of course, and I take requests. So if you have any projects you want me to look at, that is a great time and place for you to make those requests. But as you can see, we do see a lot of altcoins, good bullish altcoins, doing well. Okay, ETH, guys, ETH is doing amazing. The reality is that it has been doing trash, but the short term, I'm talking within the last 24 hours, it's getting a lot of action, right? And this action is something that we need to see Ethereum do. And I know a lot of people right now are so bearish on ETH. I get it. I truly do, guys. You guys know my history with ETH. But at the current moment, we still have to be real about the future of altcoins if ETH doesn't exist. And I really don't think the future of altcoins are going to have a strong future if if Ethereum doesn't perform. Ethereum needs to perform. So this is good to see Ethereum technically outperforming Bitcoin in the last 24 hours is not too bad. Quote unquote outperforming. Let's put it that way. As we continue going down, you can see Solana doing good. We have Dogecoin, Cardano. A lot of these altcoins are either keeping up with Bitcoin or outperforming Bitcoin. We're talking about the good projects, the ones that we've been paying a lot of attention to. Avalanche, Chainlink, Sui, of course, one of my main picks for this cycle. If we keep on going down, Hyperliquid continues to grind to the upside, bullish, continuing to the downside. We got a lot of good gainers here. To be honest, I'm expecting exchange tokens to start waking up as well, because that's a good indication of retail involvement. Okay, so keep an eye on that one. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. We got Monero waking up here. We got a lot of good projects, guys. A good action to the upside. Obviously, the main DEX for Ethereum, Uniswap waking up as well. Tau still keeps on moving, guys. still keeps on moving. You guys remember when I told you that Tau was looking healthy and that we should be DCAing? Since then, Tau is up a lot, guys, double digits for sure. So doing great here. And again, back to that exchange token idea. Look at Gate doing great, obviously. Ondo, Near Protocol, you name it, guys, doing awesome. CRO doing awesome. Look at this. The rest of the market is doing great. 8%, 8%, a lot of good moves to the upside. Even Trump, 8%, 7% for Athena, doing good. Athena has a lot of work to do still, so don't FOMO just yet. I think Sonic is going to be waking up any second now for a big move, so be prepared. We have Stacks finally pegged back to the Bitcoin price, finally up 35% in 7 days, guys. So pay attention if you're looking for a proxy play on Bitcoin. It could be, you know, that Stacks gets back to that peg or that, you know, relationship, you know, that basically being pegged allows us to get into a lower cap project such as Stacks and still leverage the capabilities of what Bitcoin offers to the market in the sense of price action and sentiment, right? So if Bitcoin does well, Stacks does well, and there's a correlation there that we can take full advantage of. So keep an eye on that one. And as we keep on going down, tons of bullishness here across the market, guys. My only fear is this, and I'm going to throw this out there. On the lower time frames, are we taking too much risk getting into fresh longs? And I'm not talking about larger time frames. I'm not even talking about the daily per se. I'm not talking about the weekly and so on. I'm talking about the lower time frames. And in this case, could we expect a bit of a pullback in the immediate short term, maybe beginning tomorrow, where we start to see, and maybe even tonight, guys, the Asia market could wake up, you know, tonight, right when we go live, I go live, we start to see the Asia market wake up, and we could start to see a bit of a sell-off, right? That's the truth. They're going to wake up in tons of profit, and likely they're going to want to take a bit off the table, and we could get a little bit of a bearish response, a pullback, a healthy profit-taking breather, right? And could we expect that? And if that happens on Bitcoin, how is that going to translate to the altcoin market? Okay, guys, this is a good and very important thing to think about because the market right now is looking good, and a lot of the altcoins haven't really gotten their expansion just yet, and we're waiting for that opportunity to happen, guys. Good price action. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. And we'll take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is showing tons of strength, guys. What can I say? Bitcoin at this level was giving me tons and tons of confirmations that we should be looking for reversal. But you know what? There is still one more, guys, that I really would like to see, and that's a confirmation low, a higher low. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, what's important to really understand is the sentiment of this pullback. You know, the reason being is because we can get an idea of or gauge, you know, how much sentiment, how much emotion is in this bottom. And I can tell you this, guys, at this point, there was not a lot of people in this market, and still we're still down. Reality is people are not really focusing on crypto in the last little while. But lately, we've been getting an uptick in engagement, which is good because ultimately that gives us a sign that the retail investor is coming back. And it could be that we start to introduce fresh capital into the space, which is what we kind of need here, as we saw the total take a bit of a pullback. By the way, total is up 4.5% as we speak, which is really, really good, right? So the majority of it is based on Bitcoin, obviously, but we see the altcoins definitely getting their rotation, getting their momentum, right? So this is good. Now, as you can see, this was a bottom to actually look out for, and that's what we did here on the channel perfectly. You know, I was very patient. You know, I didn't want to get into anything crazy. I got onto lower time frames and I wait for this. This is what I waited for. A little bit of a bottom right into here. And then once we got here on this sideways, I plopped that right in and I said, as long as we stay above, we're bullish. And guess what, guys? We're bullish. And we're right now breaking above this previous high at about 88,500 was the signal and the actual target for a confirmed break of the previous high, a confirmed higher high. Okay, so that's that. We've achieved it. Are we completely done here with the change of character? No. The reality is we have a little bit more work to do. And like I mentioned earlier, that work that we need to do is a confirmed higher low. So we got our higher high, which is great, above this one. Now, at any moment, we can come down for a higher low. We do not want to break below this low right here. We want to stay above it. And ideally, we do not break below, I would say, Look, guys, if we can stay above 88,200 and backtest as that support, guys, that would be absolutely epic. But I can see a bit of resistance as we speak right now. At best case scenario, we continue breaking through this volume gap, hitting about $94,000, give or take, guys. Don't start scaling out, front run your profit taking, do your thing. But we can go as high as about 94,000, maybe 94,500 if you want to get it, chip away a little bit of the supply and demand right here. Okay, so that's that. Now, if we get to that level, maybe we get our confirmation low right here, a higher low right into here. Now, you're probably thinking, but Mike, we missed a big move. But that's the reality. If you do not start scaling in and slowly building your position as you get your confirmations, and you're going to wait for the absolute best moments for all the confirmations possible, the reality is you're a late longer at this level, a little bit late of a long, right? So which means that we could even come right back up here and just do one of these and literally make a lower low and hunt this liquidity. And look, guys, that's savage, I know, but it's possible. And that's the truth. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. But what I do think is likely to happen is that we do want something like this. Now, we could even come down a little bit lower, right? Even come down to this level and hunt a little bit of this liquidity, get a few people wrecked that got in late at this level. I don't think that this level is going to get tested. But again, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you the future. But whatever it is, I do not want to break below this, and I want to wait for oversold conditions to get bullish once again. I am still bullish, but I mean to start deploying bullish capital for a continuation. Getting in right now on fresh longs on Bitcoin and some of those altcoins, even the ones that haven't even broken up to the upside yet, is a little bit risky. Why? Because Bitcoin could get rejected and get that pullback. And even if you're looking at an altcoin that hasn't gotten its follow through, it doesn't mean that it has to. And this is one of the biggest fallacies out there, and multiple cycles has taught me this, is that yes, we get rotation based on Bitcoin's influence. Like today, we're seeing a lot of good. In the last little while, we saw a lot of good charts. Again, Tau, Render, CRV's doing pretty good. Like so many. Sui, a lot of good projects, okay? But if you start looking at others, they're not really getting their follow through yet. Now, eventually they'll get the rotation, but not all of them will. And sometimes you will be left holding the bag because Bitcoin will have enough. Those few altcoins that won't get their opportunity, right, won't get it, obviously, and they'll get basically a smackdown based on Bitcoin's dip. So this is the biggest challenge, is don't overstay your welcome in some of those trades. If you're in longs right now, appreciate the fact that Bitcoin's giving you all the signals you need for a continuation to the upside. But then again, prepare that if Bitcoin does dip, even for a 0.38 Fibonacci retracement, we're going to get a bit of a hit on those altcoins, particularly the ones that didn't expand. And likely we're going to come back to range lows to give you better entries anyway. Now, the ones that expanded, all we really want is to, flag out a little bit. We don't want a full retracement back 1-to-1. We want to flag out for a continuation, a quick exchange of hands, a quick consolidation, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, we want a flag that will suggest a continuation to the upside, but only when Bitcoin dips. Right at this current moment, that's what we're waiting for, is another opportunity. Because if you're on the sidelines waiting for another entry, right now is not your moment. That's the truth. This is very difficult. And if you're looking for altcoins to give you that opportunity, be very careful. Like I said, they may not get their follow through, right? Not all of them will. Okay, so you might have to wait for the next major bullish impulse on Bitcoin. That's the danger, or that's the scenario. Now, I feel like we need to look at oscillators here. You can see that Bitcoin still has some strength to the upside. So if you're in longs at the current moment, you don't have to take profit too early. Trail up a stop loss, take 10% off the top. And if it keeps on going, take a little bit more and trail it up a little bit more and keep on doing. At this current moment, the only thing that I can potentially see is maybe on the lower time frames, like the 4-hour, a mean reversion. That's the only thing, and we'll talk about that in a second. But currently, on the daily, what I am seeing is momentum looking to get overbought. Plain and simple. Especially that now we kind of broke trend, or broke the through the chop zone on the on the momentum oscillators. The RSIs should show you that. Any stochastics, anything that you use should be showing you that. This divergence got its follow through. As you can see, this expansion is a lot weaker than that one. And you can see that was a Class A bullish divergence. We got Class A bullish divergences on the oscillators. Now, of course, I'm looking for this to get overbought, but is it going to get overbought right now? Or is it going to wait for the bearish response from the volatility line? This is the line that I'm worried about right now, because it's definitely overheated and hanging out here for way too long. So when we get that bearish response, do we just get that mean reversion play on lower time frames, maybe get this momentum to come down a little bit just like that, and then we continue to the upside eventually so that we can go long right here? And if we can go long right here, that's probably going to give us maybe something like this, maybe something like this, and then we can go long again. And that's where we start to confirm the higher low, higher high. And if we start looking at again this chart again and start looking at what I'm looking at, it's basically higher highs and higher lows, the same way we got lower lows and lower highs here. I want it on this side where we start moving to the upside. This is what we want. Pivot point structure. This is it. Okay, this is what we've been waiting for. Change of character. No longer lower lows and lower highs. In fact, we're making higher highs and higher lows. So we got to see what happens here. But fresh longs are dangerous. But the daily still has a lot more room for upside potential. But lower time frames could be dangerous. Again, I just want to throw this out to you guys also. The momentum, the purple line. Let me just quickly get rid of some of this artwork just real quick so we can clean this up. As you can see, I am talking about the purple line at the current moment. If this purple line gets above 70, the majority of the gains happen there. Okay, so you didn't miss out on much. The reality is, on the daily, once we break above 70, this is where you get the majority of the move, right into there. Okay, and we get some divergence. Even on the if we do get divergence, remember we can get multiple drives of divergence while we still maintain higher highs. So don't exit too soon here, guys. If you got great entries, right? You want to take a little bit of profits and chill up that stop loss, but you want to maintain your stance here so you can make as much gains as you can, but at the same time, understand where your resistance is. Okay, right now we're not even in resistance levels. The next level of resistance is right around 94,000, to be honest, but we do have a little bit of volatility or a little bit of emotion right here based on this volume gap. Okay, so keep in mind also. Now, move on to the trend. The trend is looking great. EMA is facing up. Green histogram bars, expansion nice and purple. No signs of exhaustion just yet. Multiple drives of bullish divergence here. And the EMAs are in the bullish control zone above the zero mark. Bullish, bullish, bullish everywhere. Okay, so everything on the daily is still showing a lot of upside potential with regards to momentum. Guys, as a momentum trader, I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now. Momentum is looking good. And it's time to start scaling in and get into margin positions. I know it was a lot to digest when I was saying this for a lot of people, especially with all this bearish, PTSD. But the reality is we have to be able to pivot when it's necessary and when we do see the charts showing those signals. Let's drop down to the lower time frames. Let's take a look at the 4-hour real quick, and you'll see why I'm really worried about this zone, because this whole structure right here is something that I spoke about and I presented on the Discord. It's either we get rejected and come down and get that opportunity, or we break to the upside. And obviously my bias was to the upside. My bias was to the upside given the momentum. Now, this is where we're at. Now, do we come down and backtest and get that spring right off of this horizontal support and continue to the upside, or do we continue to about 94,000, maybe even a slightly lower? I think 93,500 would be a good level, as you can see, based on the volume gap and the emotions that, the lack of resistance right into this zone could be the target. And I kind of like this level, so we got to see where we go. But ultimately, if you look at momentum here on the day, on the 4-hour, look, everything is super overbought, guys. Everything is super overbought. So the biggest concern is that we get a pullback based on the 4-hour, maybe the 1-hour. And in that case, we come down for a little bit of a dip, and then we continue to the upside, fulfilling the destiny of the daily, which is right now, again, super bullish, like I mentioned. So you got to be able to weather the storm on lower time frames as well. And sometimes hedging against your bigger picture thesis, the daily thesis, is the way to do it. Like, you can definitely short and, hedge against that the dip if that's the case. You can embrace for impact and say, you know what, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to sit on my hands, and what I'm going to really do is buy the dip when it comes down here and just accumulate even more. That's fair deal, guys. We're in accumulation rate. We're definitely in an uptrend once we get that confirmed higher low. And why not get in with a bit more capital on the higher low? And fair enough, you can definitely get into some altcoins. And that case, you're starting to see the altcoin market also wake up, and the Bitcoin dominance might start falling down and start showing altcoins some strength, given that a lot of them are looking for that opportunity. But Bitcoin at the current moment, as I'm showing you, is overbought on lower time frames. Bit of a concern, and obviously it's an opportunity to take a bit of profit. And just in case, again, 10% here and there. Guys, overall, the market is looking really good. Super bullish. Look, even if you go on the 1-hour, very overbought. I could expect eventually for this to get a reversal, but even the daily is not even giving us a bit of divergence, not even a bit of divergence. No class A, nothing like that. It's just showing strength. Look at these impulses starting from here: 1, 2, 3, 4. Strength, strength, strength. Higher and higher and higher. There's no deviation from the trend as far as momentum goes. Guys, there's no anomaly. There's nothing. Even if the trend oscillator, EMA is facing up, purple histogram bar, purple expansions, green histogram bars, everything is looking good on even on the 1 hour, but it's overheated. And is that enough? Just to keep in mind, just to go back to the context of being overheated and overextended, the reality is that when that happens, we could stay a lot longer in overbought conditions because we are in a bullish state right now. We're expanding, and technically speaking, if we're going to end up being in a bullish trend, we have to expect that the momentum is going to stay bullish a little longer and hesitate and hang out in overbought conditions just a little bit longer. That's how we end up making higher highs and higher lows. And in this case, this pullback on the 4 hour could be just the case that the momentum does reset, come down, and we get that mean reversion scenario. In fact, I would even say that mean reversion is not even the strongest at the current moment. It's not like the purple line and the yellow line are way far away from each other yet. To be honest, like everything still looks pretty good, guys. So it's time to be bullish. But shorter time frames, I understand if you are being a bit hesitant, and don't try to, jump on this moving train, because obviously at any moment we could get that reversal. But you need to have a plan as to when do you want to get some exposure to this volatility? When do you get in on the action, right? You miss all the shots you don't take, guys. Obviously, you guys know this. You have to take a shot. Every single trade or any purchase and in any investment is always risky, but you need to take a shot sometime. Right now, maybe not the best, but on a pullback, 100%, you need to take a little bit of chance and start DCing once again. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.